Jesh, 10 years ago today, you hit your first over the fence home run. And you
Hmm.
were so upset because you hadn't hit a home run yet that season. And we couldn't find it. That was the saddest part. We didn't get to keep your home run ball. You hit it so far out there, we couldn't find it. Because it was long, it was big for your guys' age.
That's what she said. What is good, you guys? We are back for episode 19 in Mom's words, in my words, episode 9 of season 2 of the Don't Do Stupid Shit podcast, hosted by me, Jesh, Janitor Jesh, and my mother, Christina, Tina, Mom.
Hey guys.
So today, we've had a couple guests on the last few weeks, and today we wanted to have an episode with just me and Mom, and we figured it was perfect timing because it is just about summertime. And
Yes, it is.
for those of you from Seattle, you know, we go through like 8, 9 months of bullshit weather for these 3 or so months of beautiful weather. So
Yeah.
we figured we would whip out some of our summertime stories from when we were
Yep.
younger. Some of the
We're gonna
dumb shit
throw
I
back.
did, some of the dumb shit Mom did. Have a
Hmm.
little bit of fun with it. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
you
gonna be
wanna
throwback time.
throwback time? You
Yep,
got any? You
throwback to
got
the
any other
stories.
words?
I would say I would sing again, maybe a little Will Smith, Summertime. Summer, summer, summertime. I can't turn this into karaoke, so I'm not going to. But you know that song, right? They
Yeah, I
play it
do.
every
I
summer.
do.
Yeah,
I
that's a
almost thought
classic.
for a second. I thought Will Fox or Will Smith. Sorry, you'll see why in a second, but I thought Will Smith was in the hospital. I was thinking for a second, and then I remembered it's Jamie Foxx.
Oh
He's in the
yeah.
hospital. He's been in the hospital for like 5 weeks, I guess.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
he
saw
gets
just
better.
like a little bit about that. I didn't really like pay much attention.
Can't lose the legend. We need him. We need
No.
him. You
Okay,
wanna kick things
who wants
off
to
with your
start?
first story or me?
Okay, I'll start. I'll start with my first story. Um,
You start with one.
okay. So I grew up in this little town of Mount Lake Terrace, and I lived on a dead end street. My cousins lived down at the end of the street, along with some another family that I've known since I was little, and then across the street was like another family we knew, and so summertime was the best because you left in the morning as soon as you ate breakfast, and there was this big patch of woods behind, and all we did was just run around and play until the very end of the night. But there was this high school boy that lived on the street, and he drove like it was like a Camaro or something, right? Like we're talking, this is like the 80s. So it was like a cool high school kid car for the 80s. And he was
He
such,
was the one that would sit out front of school right after school got
yes,
out in his leather jacket with the SIGs
yes,
on. Yeah. Leaned up
yes, for
against his
sure.
car.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, he was such a jerk, like such a jerk. And he was always like coming after us on the street when we'd be out there playing and just being super rude and saying nasty things. And I really did not like him. And I had to pass his house. So, like, our house was down here. My cousins and everybody lived down here. And I had to pass his house to get to where all the kids would be and where we were always playing. So, one morning I'm walking down the road and his car's parked out front. And
Mhm.
I'm across the street on the sidewalk and I think to myself, I wonder if I like threw a rock at his car, what would happen? And I don't think I have a great aim. I did play basketball. I don't even know that I was playing basketball yet, but this thing just came over me that I should like grab a rock and like just throw it at his car and just see what happens, right? It'll just ding
Mhm.
it, bounce off. So I pick up this rock. It's not a big one. I launch it. Jess, you've played catch with me, so I don't have a terrible arm, but my aim's not that great.
Aim's
So
not the best.
That's true. So I'm across the street on the sidewalk and I launch it all the way across, and his car is parked on the other side. And it hits his front driver's side window right smack in the middle, like the most
Let's go.
vulnerable spot on the window. And the whole thing just shatters into tiny shards of glass, falls to the ground. And I stood there for a second with like the most shocked, like, oh my God, did I just do that? Look on
You
my
weren't
face.
expecting to even hit the car, huh?
No, 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 I wasn't.
Yeah,
And
that's the
you
best.
could hear it. It was so loud, that sound of glass shattering and then hitting the ground. And I
Hmm.
knew in no time he'd be coming out. You had to have heard it in the house. And so I turned and I ran for home, and I went inside the house and I hid behind the curtain in our living room, and I could see his house from where our living room was. And I watched him come out the door and go to his car and like literally freak out. And he's looking up and down the street and where's those motherfucking kids? I can hear him swearing. And I'm like, I literally was like, he's gonna come find me. You're gonna come find me. Thank God we didn't have door cams, like the like
Yeah.
ring bell
Hmm.
things.
The ring bells.
Yes, because
You would
I
have
would
been
have been
fucked if
toast.
so.
Yeah, I would have.
See,
Anyway,
I found ways to alleviate the issue of like cameras by kind of keeping my distance a little bit. I'll give you one actually.
okay.
So when we lived in the house at 45th,
Yeah,
for
okay.
those of you listening, we had this house we lived at with probably like 100 yards of grass between the house and the road, right?
Yeah,
And
the
there was a
house was
line.
we were on just shy of 2 acres, and we were sitting on the back, so there was quite a
Mhm.
big space between the house and the road.
Right. So there's a big space, and at the end of the yard, there were like big trees kind of in between the yard
Yeah,
and the road.
right.
And so there's a two-lane little, road. And then just across the road, there was a bunch of houses. Like it was a neighborhood with just house after house after house lined up. Do you know
Mhm.
about this? Or do you have any
I'm
clue of where I'm going with
I'm
this?
f I'm feeling like I don't, so I'm
So
excited. Give me the
So
story.
I obviously played baseball,
Oh,
and
shit. Oh
there
god.
were there were a bunch of rocks like in our driveway and
Mhm,
around our house, and they would line the house and stuff. And
mhm.
we used to go sit out during summertime when we were like 13, 14, and we would soft toss rocks to ourselves and hit them with the bat
Yep.
across the street until we heard a window shatter or a clunk or something. So it was like if you the first person to hit a house or a window or something and hear something break was the
Oh
winner, and we'd sit out
god.
there for probably like
Who
two
was
hours at
the
a time.
winner?
We'd sit out there for like 2 hours at a time, and this is like in hindsight, I'm not telling anybody listening to this pod. Again, this pod is called
No.
"Don't Do Stupid Shit," but
Don't people.
but in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, that was stupid as fuck. And I feel bad to an extent because like nobody deserves to just have their window fucking shattered out of nowhere. I mean, it's not a end of the world situation, but still a shitty situation. And
Yeah.
so the second we would hear a window or something shatter or break, it was like for a second of like shock, like, oh, we did it. And then it was just straight into the house, like full speed, grab the bat, hide any rocks, like straight into the fucking house, get away. Like,
Mhm.
and every time we do it and we'd hear one of them shatter or something, we'd sit in our garage or in my house for probably like a solid hour or two just waiting for the cops to come knock on the door so that we could be like, "Oh, I have no clue what you're talking about, officer. Like,
We've been in the
we're just up
house.
here
Ask my
playing video
mom.
games." Yeah, exactly. So that
Oh
was
my
that was
god.
the first one that comes to mind, and was thinking of that because obviously, if we're starting with rocks and breaking shit, I feel like
I guess
it's
it's a
fitting,
family trait. It's a family
I
trait.
guess so. Or we
We
would,
both did that.
oh, this is another dumbass one during summertime that we would do. I guess this isn't even just a summertime thing, but it was mainly during
Oh
summer when it
God.
was nice out. You know what trash can bowling is?
Yes, I do know what that is, and I do think I remember you talking
You
about this
do?
before. I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So
Because I
where
remember you talking about it.
you drive up and on trash can day, the passenger
Hmm.
reaches out, grabs a trash can, you go full speed and try to either take out another trash can, a mailbox, sometimes a
Oh my
car.
God. Oh
Pretty
God.
fucked up, but it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was fun, but bad idea. That's how you get
Yeah, bad
yourself in
idea.
trouble.
That's right. Again, we're giving you all the stupid shit stories so that you don't have to do them yourself. We did them for you.
I'm thinking we change the name of this podcast episode from Summertime Stories to Things Not to Do during summertime.
Okay, just put it in the description.
Yeah. There's
A collection of things not to do during the summer.
man, I gotta bring it back though, because like we could probably go, or at least I could. I don't know about you. I don't know how much dumb shit you did during summertime when you were young, but I could
Probably
probably go
not as
for a
much.
few solid hours of just consistent stories or examples of dumb shit I did during summer.
I'm
Anything from
sure.
as stupid and small as, backflips off the dock until they kick you out of the park to
Yeah, those
doing stuff
ones that
like this or
yeah, the flips is always the thing that scared me. I was always waiting for you to break your neck.
break my neck.
Yeah, but you know
Hasn't happened.
why? You know why that is? Because when I was a young girl, we used to go swimming down at Silver Lake, which was by our house up there, the
Hmm.
last house that we had. And they have that long dock from the beach that goes out, and we would jump off of it. And, we would jump and dive and do all that kind of stuff. And I must have been 5 or 6 years old, and there was this gal, um, and I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this correctly. I should Google it while we're sitting here talking. Joni
Hmm.
Erickson. Have you ever heard the story of Joni Erickson?
No,
No.
I have not.
Yeah. So Joni Erickson was this lady and or girl, and she dove off of a dock, and it was shallow, and she hit her head on a rock and broke her neck, and luckily they pulled her out of the lake, but she was a quadriplegic, I think, for the rest of her life. And
Paralyzed.
so that was like a big story at the time when I was little. And so of course, my mom grilled that story into my head. I was scared as shit to dive headfirst off a dock. There was for sure going to be a rock waiting for me to break my neck. So here's how life
See,
works. How many
yeah.
times have you heard me freak out over you doing that stuff? Don't dive headfirst. Don't dive headfirst. That's where it all comes
Every
from.
time you see it, but I've never taken heed.
Thank
I just
God. Thank God. But that's
well, I
my
wasn't I
5 year
wasn't
old.
saying I've never gotten hurt. I said I've never listened. I still do it.
Oh, God.
You
You're
t-
still
you're
alive.
like,
Thank
thank
God.
God, thank God. In reality, I was basically saying like I never listened. Like,
I know, I know. Jesus. Oh God.
no,
Okay, at least you're
I would
still alive.
listen. Yeah, I mean, I'm still alive, but I would listen when like you were really adamant. Like there's times where
Yeah.
you'd be like sometimes like, God damn it, Jesh, stop doing that shit. And then there's times where you'd be like, don't fucking do it. Just get on my head. Be like, Jesh, if I tell you again, I'm gonna fucking whoop your ass. Get all mad. But
Just listen, the scariest part of being a parent is being responsible to try to keep this human alive and get them into their adult years. That
you
shit's
know,
terrifying. Terrifying.
well,
Oh
I made
man.
it. So made it.
Yeah, you did. And you're
Mama,
wising
I
up.
made it.
Yeah, you
For the
did.
most part. Sometimes.
You are. You're getting better. Better every day.
I don't
Okay,
know
I
if
have
it was
another story. Oh,
okay.
you go.
Go for it. Well, I was just gonna say, I think we were talking about this at dinner the other night, but for any of you guys that are listening that are my age, I'm gonna drop this as a poll in the comments and stuff. But
Mm.
I told her that summer of 2016 was the best year. Like that was the best summer. Like parties, everything, just the vibes were immaculate. And then motherfuckers started shooting up parties and doing all that shit, and it
Yeah.
got worse and worse. I want to know what summer was your guys' favorite, and if you're my age, if you agree that 2016 was the best summer. But
Yeah. So for all of you watching this pod, like jump on the comments on this one and tell us your year of your best summer of your life and give us a little synopsis of why. We'd love to hear your guys' story, and maybe we'll follow up on the next pod and we'll read some of them at the start. That'd be kind
yeah,
of
I'd be
fun.
down. Or tell
Yeah,
us the
let's do
dumbest
that.
shit you did during summer.
Yeah,
I want
either
to hear
one.
about it.
And yeah, we'll read some of them at the beginning of our next pod as a follow-up to this. So everybody like drop a comment there on this YouTube video or in the Instagram and tell us what your favorite summer was of you look back and remember, or the stupidest shit you did, or both of summer. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be super fun.
I'll add a poll on Apple and Spotify too. So if you're listening on there, you can go down and
Yeah,
add
okay.
your answer. But
Yeah, that's
all right,
cool.
what was the next one? You had
Oh,
one?
I was just gonna say, yeah. So because I got to grow up in the 80s, the magical years that they were,
Hmm. Hmm.
we ran around in the woods all the time and nobody ever checked on us and nobody cared. Nobody was worried about getting snatched up out of the woods, which is crazy because there was a lot of serial killers roaming around the 80s in the Northwest. But
Hmm.
they weren't worried about us. So we would run around in the woods in the back. All day long, and we found this giant like bees, like wasp net, just nest huge. And of course, being all dumb that we are, and one of the older boys who was probably in high school, so working on a lot of good brain vibes,
Yep. Yep.
decided to try to throw rocks at this thing and knock it off the tree that it was hanging on. And so, of course, we're all gathered around watching because we're all idiots. And
Hmm.
this older boy finally hit it with a big rock, and sure as shit, that thing dropped to the ground, busted wide open. It was huge, and within you know 30 seconds, the wasps were swarming. And wasps, when they've been bothered, are coming for someone. They're going to find somebody. And I was not the fastest runner. I'm not a runner. To this day, I'm not a runner. Everybody took off sprinting across the field and out of the woods and back to the road. And being the slowest one that I am, and this was right before summer camp, we always went to camp at the end of August for like a week. Um, and it was like the funnest, most best week. Anyway, being the slow one that I am, I was at the back of the pack, and I think I got stung, I don't know, at least a dozen times, mostly on my ass. I don't know why. I don't know why they went for my butt, but they sure did. And so I couldn't sit for like 2 days. My butt was like, I had all these wasp bites all over the back and all over my booty.
Oh boy,
So
not fun. Not fun.
don't don't torment the wasps. They at least know what your running skills are
I've
before you get involved.
I don't think I had ever been like stung by a bee or wasp up until like I was like 17. And
Really?
I stepped on one at the lake and I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck was that? Like, where'd that come from? And I looked and I realized there's just a dead wasp under my foot. And I was like, oh shit. But
Wow.
there was,
Yeah.
I was gonna kind of talk about this because like thinking about like stories and stuff, right? And a lot of like the high school years were filled with like partying and going out, which sure as you can imagine, there's a lot
Mhm.
of stupid shit that happens. And I was thinking about this one thing that happened one time that I don't think I had ever told you about actually.
Oh
So
God, here we go.
I think this is I don't know how, but I always be telling you everything and stuff, but there's just a lot of stuff to tell.
That's
So it's
literally
like
what I was just gonna say. There's too many stories.
it doesn't come up until it comes up, you know? Like I have no problem just throwing it out there, but
Oh,
I was in Mount Vernon, I think. We
oh
drove
my
out for a
God.
party, and this was like 2016 or something like that. And we drove out for a party that night. I think I probably told you guys I was in Woodinville or something,
I'm
like
sure. And just for everybody,
somebody's house. And
Mount Vernon was a solid 45 minutes to an hour
yeah,
or more.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
about
think it was
that.
probably about an
North.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah, north of where we
But
were.
we would go all over the place for fucking parties. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
just little party animals. But no, we went to this party and like everybody was like stealing shit from the house. And
Oh my
I didn't
God,
I
you
didn't steal
guys.
anything, but a lot of the times, you know, it'd like be a couple reasons why they go to parties to, you know, hit on girls, turn up, like drinking stuff, uh fight and cause havoc or steal.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. So anyways, the owner of the house I think had realized that like a bunch of shit had been stolen upstairs. So like they like went to like shut down the party and like cops got called. Anyways, we were
Oh,
walking back to the car, right? And there's this girl and she was super drunk. She was
oh
like
no.
belligerently drunk and she
Oh.
was just yelling and cussing and throwing shit and like at one point, I think I was getting annoyed. She was yelling something towards us, even though like I had no clue who this girl was, what she was doing, whatever. I was like, she said something, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up! Like, stop talking!" Like, and I was like, "Just go home. You're drunk," or something like
Oh
that.
my God.
And then she focused her attention on me. Then it was like, oh, then you fucking bitch, fuck you, like started yelling at me and going crazy. And I was like, all right, like laugh.
Yeah, you put
Sure.
yourself in that though. You opened
Okay,
your
okay,
mouth.
whatever. This isn't even like this isn't even the part of the story that was fucked. But I was like arguing with her, and we were almost to the car, and like I was getting kind of annoyed, and then some kids started fighting over there, or whatever. Well, I'm almost at the car, and I was a little on edge or whatever, and somebody like grabbed me from behind on the shoulder, like grabbed my shoulder aggressively. And who do you think it was?
Oh my God. It's got to have been one of your friends, and you probably just turned around and like beat the shit out of him.
They grabbed me, and I
No.
thought it was somebody that was going after me. And I turned
Mm-hmm.
around and just threw an elbow. It was a cop.
Of course it
And
was. Of course.
I hit this cop with the straight elbow. And he threw my ass into the mud. Like it was like all muddy right there. Threw me into the fucking mud. Like put his knee on my like neck and shit. And like I still at the time like didn't even really like recognize it was a cop. And he ended up tasing me. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And I realized it was a cop, and all the other guys are like standing there, like get the fuck off him, whatever. And his dad's a lawyer. His dad's a lawyer. He's gonna sue the fuck out of you, like just capping their asses off, trying to get him to let me go. And he's like, you're under arrest for assault on a police officer. And I was tweaking because I was like, I would never try to assault a police officer. That's like one of the
Right.
stupidest things you can do. I was like, I did not mean to like do anything. Like you came up from behind, I was like, you better have your body cameras rolling. He's like, well, lucky for you, we don't got body cameras. And I was like, oh shit. So I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm fucked. And they put me in the cop car and they drove me down the block and stop. And he lets me out of the car. He comes around, like unhandcuffs me, and he said, "Go home." I was like, I was like, "Yes, sir. I'm out of here." Like what?
Yeah, he just
I have.
basically he had to make an example of you in front of the other kids so that they didn't think that you could start elbowing and, swinging on Popo and not get picked up for it.
I'm not
That's
hearing
what
it
that
though. That was
was.
his fault. He put his hands on me.
Yeah,
That's
but
on him.
still, he was proving a point that there was going to be
Of course he was.
consequences.
Of course he was.
Oh my
He was.
God.
I really thought I was going to jail for that, and I was
I
tweaking
bet
because
you
I was
did.
like that's one of those times where it was like bad situation. Should have never probably been there, right? But
We got
like
a
it
lot of
was one of
those,
those
don't
things.
we?
Yeah, but it was one of those things where it was like I didn't intentionally do anything. I thought
Yeah,
I
it's
was
also
fucked.
it was also another one of those things, one of those moments where you managed to escape with without anything.
Narrowly escaped. I
Just
don't know how,
muddy.
but
I know.
yeah, I was covered in mud. My entire outfit, shoes were ruined. Like it was
Yeah.
not fun. But I like walked back to the car and they're like, "The fuck, bro? Like we were already trying to come pick you up. Like they just let you go." And I was like, "Yeah, they just dropped me off down the road." Like I don't know. Like I was like, it felt
Uh,
like they're like still operating in like 90s, kind of like they
no.
just grab someone and let them go. But
Yeah. It's so
I don't know.
funny because your stories, your summer stories and mine are quite different, obviously. Mine involve like, we would go down to Alki Beach and have like bonfires and like make s'mores.
Yeah, mine are
And nobody was drinking. Well, here's the deal. Nobody was drinking or doing drugs in front of me because I was super like I didn't think I was that girl, but I know now that I was that girl that was like, you know, the drinking and the drugs is so stupid, you guys. Like nobody should be doing that like all the time. And so I
you guys are
thought
ruining
none of
your
my
lives.
correct. Because you heard it. No, I
Mhm.
never thought any of my friends were doing any of that stuff, and I didn't find out until, like, junior, senior banquet, which was our version of prom, um, that they were all doing it, they just were hiding it from me. They told me that summer,
Sure.
I was like, "Y'all aren't doing drugs and drinking," and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we are, all the time. We just hide it from you because we don't wanna listen to you give us grief."
Mhm.
I should have known
Oh,
that if I took that into being a mom, you all would be doing the same thing.
man, I got another good one. I'm gonna bring this one up because you know about this one. But
Okay, all
shout
right.
out my
Thanks for
boy
giving me
Cade
the heads up.
Beresford.
Oh God, Cade. Yeah, Cade.
Love you, Cade. But I was
Oh, you're
so
getting dished on. Cade's getting dished on.
nah.
I can
This wasn't
tell.
on Cade, but
Oh, okay.
I mean it was kind of on him, but kind of it was more on me. So Cade one summer went on vacation with his parents and family,
Oh
and
no.
uh, and basically they had a really nice house, and they had the
Hmm.
basketball court, bonfire. Like Cade's spot was a good spot to kick it. A good spot to hang out, have people over, and well, we knew he was going out of town. The house was going to be empty, and his parents know this, but Cade gave me the code to the garage
Yeah.
and gave me permission to go over and have a couple of the boys over.
Oh my God, you guys.
Well, and bless their heart, Cade's parents, everything's all good now. I was I was vanquished and banned from
That's
the
all making
Beresford
sense to me
household for
now.
like
Hmm.
3 years until I approached Mr. Beresford in a restaurant and broke it down to him, apologized, and like everything's all good now. But
Oh
basically,
my
we went
God.
over there, right? And it started with just a couple of the boys, and we were kicking it. And later in the night, a couple more guys, some girls, this and that. Some people
Hmm.
came over, and you know, we're we're participating in all the party activities and fun stuff, and at some point during the night, I got the bright idea that I was going to light a firework in the backyard.
Jesh.
And so I lit off a firework, and not thinking about the fact that, oh, if I let a loud ass firework off at 1 a.m., I'm sure his neighbors won't come out and try to see what's going on when they know they're supposed to be out of town and nobody's supposed to be
Oh
there.
shit. Yeah.
And so,
Bright. You were so bright. I'm so proud of you.
I
So
know, I know,
smart.
I know. Next thing you know, the neighbors are outside and they're like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, nobody's supposed to be here." And I made up some bullshit story like they
Oh
told us
my
we could
god,
be
of
there and all
course.
this. And obviously, they're like responsible neighbors are gonna call and the next day be like, "Hey, you had some people at your house last night. Just wanted to make sure everything was all good. Know you guys are out of town." Man, we wake up the next day, everybody's hungover and whoop de whoop. And Brett, shout out Brett. Brett lost his car keys, which was my ride. So spent like 3 hours in the morning trying to find his car keys in the lawn and all over. I passed out in the lawn, butt ass naked. It was a long night.
Yes. The
And
naked
next thing
story.
you
I
know,
think that came up in Brennan's episode, didn't it?
maybe it was probably around because that was one of the, I think that was, no, that
Was
wasn't
that
the
the
same
first
night.
time he
But
got you high?
no, no,
No,
that
that
was a
did come
different
up
time.
though. That did. But sorry,
Maybe,
keep going.
yeah. Next thing you know, ring, 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 ring. Look at my phone. It's Kate's dad, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, like fuck, fuck, fuck. Answer the phone. Joshua, get the fuck out of my house right now. I'm gonna see you when I get back. Wooty woo, like going off on
God.
me. And I couldn't snitch at the time. I didn't even tell him that Cade let me into the house. I was just trying to eat that lunch.
Damn.
So he and rightfully so, like I said, he was pretty livid with me for that one. And
Yeah.
man, stupid choices, dumb shit. But
Yeah,
that
but it's
was that was
crazy.
that was fun.
It's crazy how y'all would like look out for each other and not tattle. And so I think just like you and your sister's relationship, Jesh, um, you've often been the one that your sister will be like, do this dumb thing, and you're like, all right, I'm down. And I think you were the same with your friends. And so ultimately what ends up happening is you get the reputation for being the kid that's always doing all the stupid shit, even though the friends are behind there doing it with you. They're just letting
Mhm.
you lead in the front and take all the hits. And the
Well, and I
crazy thing
was
about that,
I was
I'll
also
just say
always the
this.
one that go for it.
No, I was just going to say the crazy thing about that, Josh, is I was voted in high school when I graduated most likely to do anything. I just was in a very confined environment. So my version of doing crazy things was not the same, but I think you and I
If you
are a
grew up in
little
a
bit
different
of the same.
environment, you probably would have ended up being the sorority girl, coked out, all fucking
No
crazy
way.
and shit.
No.
Yeah,
But I definitely
probably.
would have probably be getting in a lot more trouble than I did. I mean, I got in a lot of trouble just for, benign issues. I think I would have gotten in a lot more trouble for other things in
I
a
also
different
like,
environment.
I got it tatted on my arm and shit, loyalty. Like, I have
Yeah.
like this big principle mindset. Like, I think another component of it was like, I was always willing to be the one to like take the hit. Like, I was always the one that was willing to like be like, nah, it was me. Like, they had nothing to do with it or this and that. Like, because I
Yeah,
didn't,
but did
I didn't
anybody
want to
do
get
that for
anybody else.
you?
Yeah,
Was anybody
yeah,
doing that for
for sure.
you? Okay,
Yeah,
all right. I
definitely.
mean, as long as it was reciprocal, as long as y'all were doing that for each other on some level. But
Nah,
if
there's
you're the only
definitely
one doing
times. Yeah,
it, then like
there's
there's no need to be the martyr of the group.
nah. I mean, I already kind of had that reputation too, so it was like I didn't really
Yeah.
give a fuck. Like it was like, all right, well, if I'm already that kid, don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's all part of growing up. I'm
Yeah,
no
it's true.
longer,
It is.
you know, no longer
Yeah.
that same kid, so it's good. But it
No,
gives
it's
me a lot of
definitely all part
stories.
of it. Yes, it does.
I definitely think about this a lot. Like, what happens when I'm a dad and my generation cameras were all over the place, videos of everything,
Mhm.
right? what happens when my kids start to see videos of me, like when I was young? Like, how is that?
I
I've
don't
I've
know.
thought about that
Good
because
luck.
like you guys don't have fucking videos of you all over and like
Mm-mm.
my kids are gonna see all these dumbass videos of me fighting, drinking, being crazy, and I'm gonna be a whole new person, right? Like trying to influence them like in the right way, and
Yeah.
but then they're gonna be like, "No, but you were doing it." Fuck, man,
Yeah. This is
it's
see,
gonna be tough.
welcome to grown-up life when you have to start considering the choices and the things you did in light of what you're going to have to say to your own kids about it and how you skirt around that like don't do what I did, do what I say kind of mentality, right? Yeah, you're
My
right.
kids ain't
You're
gonna have internet or a phone until they're 18.
that I mean, that's not a bad idea. I will say your dad and I are lucky because we definitely were like kind of that last group that didn't have social media. Phones came out when we were like late in high school. So, and then the
Hmm.
internet was dial up. So the shit we were doing was not making its way into into the universe. It was, left wherever we were. And we were doing the things like, egging houses and cars and there wasn't cameras. You got away with all that stuff, TPing things, sneaking into buildings, climbing to the tops of buildings down in Seattle, like along the waterfront to see the views,
See,
trespassing.
y'all were egging houses. We were BFRing.
Oh my God,
Sure,
I
you
don't
don't know
even
what that
know.
means.
I don't, and I don't think I want to. Is that another? We should have an
Big,
acronym.
big fucking rocks. Big
Oh
fucking
God, you
rocks.
guys, just
Sure, you can.
eggs. Eggs.
Eggs were probably a lot better.
I mean, they still can damage, but at least the damage is easier and maybe less expensive to repair, like just paint. Not so much on a car, but egging
Man,
is against the law now too, so all the
I'm not
fun
gonna out
things.
who it was. I'm not gonna out who it was. We were in Seattle one night when I was like 17, and I was driving that busted ass Honda Civic, the 1997 or whatever.
The
I'd
trap
push that
mobile.
thing. I'd push that thing like it was a fucking V8, like I'd be ripping the e-brake, going crazy. Like when I was at Bothell High School, I'd be driving on the side of the road to pass the line of traffic, getting out of school. Like just hella stupid, right? Well, there's one night we were in Seattle and we snuck into a bar. Well, this this person grabbed an 8 ball and like took it with them and had it in his pocket. We're driving
Oh
back.
no.
I'm dropping people off, and we're driving, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking hook it," and I'm like, "Don't you fucking do it! Don't you fucking do it!" Like,
Oh my God, no.
sure enough, he ends up fucking doing it. Smacks an Audi
Oh,
R8, which is like
oh
a hundred
God.
fifty thousand dollar car,
You
hella
guys.
fast, and I take off. I start going and like he's chasing me and I rip the e-brake in the middle of the road and do like a 180 and I'm like thinking I'm a race car driver, thinking I like just lost him. Bro does a quick little U-turn right on my ass again. I'm like, fuck, there's no way I'm getting away from this. And I told him, I was like on the car, I was like, I'd never snitched before. I was like, I'm fucking snitching. I'll tell you. Nah, but they ended
Yes.
up coming. They ended up coming. The cops showed up at the house. They beat me to the house and they talked to me, and I was like, I don't know anything about that. And we never heard about it again. So another lucky
Joshua,
situation, but
so many times the cops showing up at the house.
yeah,
You
it's
guys.
happened.
All right, let's
It's happened
let's
a
share
couple
some.
times.
Yeah, just a few. Let's share some fun, like wholesome summer stories.
I
Do
don't
we
got a
have
whole lot of
any?
those.
Do yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Do you even have any of them? That's the
No,
real
of course I got.
question.
I got a lot of fun, exciting stories that didn't lead to trouble or stuff like that. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it all kind of revolved around the same kind of stuff,
right.
Not doing stupid shit necessarily, but to an extent, whether it was partying or going to the lake or doing stuff like that. But I don't
Yeah,
think
but do
like
you remember growing up and like doing like when you had like your swim meets in Eastern Washington? Those were always in the summer, and we'd go
yeah,
camp at
hmm
Potholes State Park. And
Yep.
then yeah, we'd go to a concert there at the Gorge. Like seeing
Mm-hmm.
Coldplay was like so phenomenal. Like that's one of the
Yep.
most incredible things to do here in Seattle in the summer is catch a concert at the Gorge. I mean, that's some good stuff.
Man, I will say, and I think most of them have been in like the summertime, like Daniel and Michaela's wedding, Eric and Jessica's wedding. Like those weddings
Yeah.
were in the summertime, right?
Um, uh, yeah, I think so.
I'm
Jess
pretty
and
sure.
Eric's might have
I'm
been
pretty sure.
like this time of year, like June-ish,
Like
and
spring,
Michaela's was in
early.
summer. Yeah, like late spring, early
Okay,
summer. I'm
well,
not sure.
I'm considering this part of the year basically summer because this is
Yeah,
when the
no, this
sun
is
really
like it,
starts
the
coming.
launch. Like we've had 80-degree weather. This is like the real first taste we get of it.
I'll say and shout out the movie Wedding Crashers. Weddings are
Yes,
so fucking fun during summertime when it's
it's
nice
true.
out. Like I remember getting plastered at Eric's wedding, hopping in the whip with I'm not going to say his name either, but his buddy, one of his best men.
Mm-hmm.
He went and picked up some girl. I think she was a stripper,
Oh,
and like we
shoot.
smoked a blunt together. And I ended up pulling up to the cul-de-sac later that
Oh,
night,
God.
kicking it with the cousins, whatever. But nah, they're weddings are
Yeah.
like a summertime highlight. I'm not gonna lie. I would be more than happy to go crash a couple of those. You know?
Yeah, that is fun. I think about that often. That's kind of on my bucket list, because I stay at so many hotels for work. One of these times I'm going to pack something nice and I'm going to crash a wedding at the hotel. I got to be with the right
Do
crew to
it.
pull it off, but
Do it.
I'm going to do a little reconnaissance and see what weddings might be happening out there on future trips and who I can get to do it with me because I think it would be a lot of fun. I think it would be a good time. Yeah,
All right.
your dad and I crashed the Microsoft company party out in North Bend years ago. Did you
Really?
know that?
I maybe. I don't know. I can't no.
Yeah, we
You
went
guys
out.
crashed it?
Well, so like a couple years prior, I had worked there because they bring in all this, like these food booths. Like it's just unlimited food, unlimited alcohol. Like they have all this stuff going on. And I had worked one because I knew this gal who did like the staffing for it. And so I had worked one of the events. And so, like, 2 summers later, your dad and I were just hanging out. Had a weekend together and it was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think it's the Microsoft like company party this weekend out in North Bend. I was like, should we try to sneak in? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So, so of course we drove out there and then we came up with a whole cover story, like where I worked in Microsoft, because, everybody's like, so where do you work? And like, what department are you in? And like, if you're the
Mhm.
spouse, it's like, well, where does
Mhm.
your spouse work? So we had the whole cover story and we ended up parking down on the far end and we literally like snuck and crawled over because they had like temporary fencing around and then we split and then we snuck in behind the food areas and then we literally had the time of our lives. So anyway, I guess what
That's
I'm
so fun.
realizing while telling this story is that your dad and I were grown ass adults doing this shit. So the fact that you do these kind of things, I guess you've learned it. It
I
it's coming
I'll still
from
sneak
both
into
sides.
concerts or festivals or party like, I'll do all that shit
Yeah.
still. But
Oh my
this
God,
time,
people
like, now
people are
it's
gonna
with
start
more of a
judging us.
purpose. Fuck them.
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna start being judged. Yeah, okay,
Fuck you,
we've
judgmental.
had our fair share.
Actually, it's enough.
Yeah, don't do
All
it.
right, all right.
We've
Look. I'll let you give us one more good memory from summer, and then we'll wrap it up because we're at like 45, 50 minutes.
Oh, we are? Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's how good
yeah.
stories are. Okay, so I'll tell one and you'll tell one. Yeah,
No,
is that what you're
you'll tell one.
thinking? Oh,
You'll tell
just
one, and I'll
me?
wrap it up. Yeah, better make it good.
Oh
Unless
my
I
God,
come up
see,
with one.
and now it's like pressure of like, what do I say?
Better
I
think
will
quick.
tell you, I had one summer when you talk about like 2016 being your like summer, your best summer ever. What were you like 16 years old then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so mine was 16 must be the age because my best summer was my 16. as well. You know, you have your driver's license, you've got this like newfound freedom.
I didn't
You're
have my
and so
license. I crashed a car before I was 16, so I didn't have a license.
Oh my
But anyways,
god.
keep going, keep going,
Oh
keep
my
going.
god, that's right. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah, I
have my
haven't said this
license.
before, but I totaled my parents' car when I was 15. So
Yeah,
wrapped it
like
around
what?
a tree trying to drift it.
Like the month before you were gonna get your license? Like literally
Yeah, it
right
was like,
before
yeah,
or weeks?
yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Oh my god. Okay, I did have my license and anyway, I was dating this guy that summer that worked in like a pit crew for the stock car racing out at the Evergreen State Fair. And so I got my first job that summer. My dad had said, I had had a tiny job at Safeway before we all had to have a job bagging um, groceries at Safeway. That was like a family requirement. But I had quit that job, and my dad said one morning, he said, leave the house and don't come back till you get a job. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, I'm serious. And then as I was leaving the house, he was like, and don't go to Ben's. That was my boyfriend's name. And I was like, yeah, okay, Dad. So I went to Ben's. You know, that's the first place I went. And he lived in an apartment with his mom, and they had a swimming pool. So we're laying by the pool. And back then you had to find your job on in the newspaper. There was no
Or like white
online. So
pages
you Yep, so I had to
or
stop and
yellow
pick up.
pages or whatever it
Yep,
was.
yep, I had to stop and pick up 2 newspapers, and I'm looking through them for jobs, and I'm like, "I don't want any of these jobs," and so I spend the whole day by the pool with Ben, and then I'm like, "I gotta go find a job because I gotta go home tonight." So I headed over to this place called Country Village, and I walked around the village, and I went into a store, and I was like, "Hey, are you looking to hire?" And the lady looked frantic, and she was like, "Are you looking for a job?" And I was like, yeah." And so she hired me. So I had this job there all summer, and I would get off work and I would drive out to the fairgrounds every Saturday night, and I would sit at the races every Saturday night, and then afterwards we would go out and yeah, it was good. It was
That was your
everything
summer.
that's Yes, it's everything that was right about what that kind of like high school summer
Hmm.
romance, you know, working your job, you've got some money, you've got a car, you know, you're
Sounds like it's out of a movie,
it was a little bit thinking about
like
it.
a
I mean, it's a
90s
little
romance movie.
yeah, legitimately early 90s. It's the plot. So
Yeah,
maybe maybe I'll write something about that.
yeah, you could. That'd be a good idea. Are we
Maybe that'll
not? We're
make
not
it in.
announcing that yet, though, are
Nope,
we?
nope, but
Yep. Okay.
maybe there's something there.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, I don't got any good stories. All my stories are bad. So sorry, guys. No, I'm just. I
True.
probably do. I just have to dig a little harder because all the bad ones are at the top, you know. But,
Oh God.
anyways, I think that's a good way to wrap it up for today. This
Yeah.
was a fun little episode. Talk about some of the stupid, funny memories of summertime. Obviously, we're coming into summer, so hope you guys don't do maybe as stupid as shit as I did. Uh, Again, I gave you guys a PG rated version of like all the dumb shit I did. So keep in mind, like, just keep it below that. Like, keep it G rated, you know? Um,
G-rated. Yeah,
but
have a summer like my summers.
yeah,
Bonfires, s'mores, going to the fairgrounds, the races, young love
yeah,
or old love,
exactly.
whatever you want it to be.
Exactly, exactly. But anyways, the whole point being we wanted to, encourage you guys to have a fun summer. Get out,
Yeah,
enjoy yourself, enjoy
enjoy.
the weather, like make the
Yeah.
most of it cuz who knows, could be your last summer.
Yeah, that's
God
right.
forbid, but you want to
Yeah.
make the most of the time you have, and if you're in Seattle, you know how freaking special summer is because we sit through 9
Yes.
months of rain and ugly weather. So just
God,
get
and it is
outside, go to the
beautiful.
lake, go to the beach, go to festivals, concerts, whatever,
Yeah,
outdoor movies,
explore. Sit at the park.
explore. Yeah.
Yeah, take a
But
nap in the park, pack a picnic. Just
mhm,
soak it up because it is really one of the most amazing times of the year. Plus, vitamin D is super great for your mental health. So
for sure. For
get it
sure.
from the sun.
You got anything else, Mom?
No, that's it. Thanks for listening to
No?
our stories, everybody. Not that you
Yeah.
had a choice on this episode. I
you
guess if you
you
don't
didn't
want to
have a
listen.
choice. Then fuck off. But
Whatever.
I'm gonna leave the. I'll add a poll. I want to know what you guys think.
Yes.
I want to know what your guys' best summer was, or maybe some of your best summertime stories.
Yep. We want
But
to hear them.
if you enjoyed this episode, make sure, as always, to rate the pod, please. It's really helpful for us if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a like on the video.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, drop a comment. And if you're enjoying these episodes, you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to subscribe. So,
Yeah. And share it with your friends.
yeah.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, share it with your friends. But
Yeah.
yeah, so this was episode 9 of season 2. We will see you guys next week for episode 10 and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah. Have a good
Deuce.
one. Peace.